Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Danny, and this is the Common Rule Podcast. Well, all right, today we got a great conversation with Dave from Streets and Avenues, who also puts on the Tacos and Rods show once a year here in Phoenix, along with Javier Cordova, El Spawk, who's joining us as well in this conversation. And we just go and have a great conversation about art and building a community and how important that is. Now, this is going to be part one that's posted here on the podcast. Part two, I'm going to have as a download in the blog at www.thecommonrule.com, and there you can go ahead and download and listen to part two at your own pace. If you have any questions, let me know. thecommonrule@gmail.com is the email. You can hit the contact button on the blog. The Instagram is at The Common Rule, and Twitter is at Restless Samurai. I've been trying to figure out what would be the best way to notify those that are interested in being notified as far as updates to the blog and to the podcast. And it seems to me that probably Twitter is going to be the best way to do it. I don't want to do any of those mailers or mail chimps or whatever those things are called. It just seems like too much of a bother. What I've done, and the reason I bring that up is because what I've done is on my blog, I've included more audio with some of the posts that I'm doing, with technical notes, stories, and a little background on some of the photography that I've been doing there. It seemed interesting. If you guys are into that, give it a listen. And if you follow on Twitter at Restless Samurai, you'll be able to get notified when I update that as well. All right. Again, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy part one. And again, part two is available for download in the blog right under this post. Thank you so much and have a great day. Hey guys, salud.
Salud.
Thank you guys for coming. This ain't tacos and rods. It's just tacos and pods, dude. Tacos and podcasting.
I like it. I dig it. Those tacos were delicious, by the way.
Oh, man.
I think I'm on my 13th one or something like that.
So let's talk about some art. Let's talk about some shit. We have Dave from Tacos and Rods here, and we have
Streets and Avenues.
Streets and Avenues.
And Spock from Spock.
And Spock from Spock. The street artist. Mm-hmm. You're like the Mexican Bansky.
Minus the stencils.
Minus the stencils.
Why? Who's that? I don't know who that is.
He's some artist that got really famous for putting up controversial stencils.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows. He could be Mexican. Who knows? But
yeah, that is funny. Yeah, he could be, couldn't he?
Yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows his face. He's done a couple documentaries. He sold one of his pieces at auction recently, and he had it in this frame, right? And he sold it for like thousands of dollars. So his joke was, though, he had a remote on it, and so as soon as somebody bought it and paid for it, they hung it up, and from where he hit a button, and it shredded his art.
There was a shredder built into it.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, I don't know the true story, but from what I heard is that as soon as it got shredded, it was worth more money.
Yeah, and I believe that too.
Really?
That's how ridiculous. That guy like tries to shit on his name so much, and every time he does that, it's like the next best thing. If, oh my God, Pansky just did this, and it's just like, oh, dude. And
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think I see him. And whether he probably knows it too. Like he's fucking manipulating the art world to.
Honestly, he's probably in cahoots with the art world. You know what I'm saying? Like, as big as his name is, and as big as the things that he's doing are not something that a normal person would be able to.
There's always that factor with people that come up and sell art for very expensive, prices or whatever. They're usually in on it, or someone's backing them.
Well, you need a fucking team to be able to throw a show as big as his shows and still not be able to get busted or caught. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a team. You got to have a team to be able to do the shows that he does. I mean, I think he had I don't know his fucking story. I stopped fucking following his shit.
Like trying to figure shit out.
Oh, I just stopped.
Yeah.
he's not really the type of art that I'm into. So I just it was cool for a while, just checking it out. And then I was like, all right, cool. That was cool for a while. But
yeah, so I'm not in the art scene so much per se, but I don't really follow all that. So
so like the other so Andy Warhol.
Okay,
was along the same line to where he would make pieces. He wouldn't call them art, but he would make pieces because he knew they would sell.
Mm-hmm.
And so he also had a team of people around. And so they would get commissioned to do a piece of artwork, and then they would do it. And then
he would sign it.
And he would sign it. And then he would sit back and go, all right, so that's done. What are we going to do for art?
I see.
And so he
it's more fluff than anything else.
He was one of the first people to really fucking put a knife through the fact that this is pop culture, this is pop art, and this is real art. And I'm going to make my money doing this.
Yeah.
But let's just go ahead and see what we can do to be real artists around here. And
so is it more the commercial than the actual subject matter kind of thing? It's like the commercial is really cool.
Whatever takes off first, you want to just milk it,
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, some of these, it's like, I see it like boxing, because some of these boxers, like, they have to fight and they have to take fights because they're making money, because they have a team around them, and they have to, so they take these shitty fights or they take these great fights because they need to make some money, and they probably don't take all the fights that they should. And I think artists are along in the same way. We're like, dude, I got to do this for money because I got to fucking pay, I got to pay for tacos, or I got to pay the electrical bill. So I'm going to do this, which I've done a bunch of times, but I need to get this done. And then we'll see what we can do for.
I think there's people that decide. Ourselves. I think there's people that decide who's going to make it and who won't.
Oh yeah, I think that too.
And like I've see, this is one thing too that I've always known and thought about too, is your image, the way you look, has a lot to do with how far you're gonna go. Because, I mean, for example, like, just this is my theory, or this is what I see and the way I see things. When Ronda Rousey became as big as she was, I mean, they blew her the fuck up. They made her seem like she was the baddest and she'll never be beat. She got beat, and the person that beat her still didn't get the credit that she deserved.
Nope.
Ronda Rousey was still being praised. She was still making movies, still being in commercials. And then she got beat again by the same person. Same shit.
Yeah.
They still didn't fucking make it a big deal. They were still talking about how awesome Ronda Rousey was and how, like, oh, that could happen to anybody, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, well, when Ronda Rousey was winning, you guys were actually blowing her up and making it sound like she was the baddest.
Right.
She got beat twice by another person that you guys didn't really even fucking recognize because she wasn't as good looking. Yeah, and it's because she wasn't as good looking as Ronda Rousey. Like, she wasn't marketable.
She's not
the way
marketable.
Ronda Rousey was.
That's the key word right there.
And I've seen that. And it's crazy because I saw that. I'm not, a big UFC fan. I don't watch UFC all the time, but I just happened to be in that. That was like around the time when I like started kind of watching, and I saw that happen. And I see that happen with everything. It's not just art. It's not just with the UFC.
It's programming.
It's
Hollywood. That's all it is.
Hollywood, exactly.
It's programming. That's all it is, man.
And it's weird. Like, remember how I was telling you, David, the other day that when I went in for video production, and my teacher, that one day when he told me, he's like, if I'm about to ruin the way you look at me at movies, so you could stay in this room and never look at movies the same again, or you can decide to just be blind and walk out. Like, I'm not gonna. He was basically saying, I'm not gonna dock you.
So you're still gonna pass this class. You. Here's the blue pill. Here's the red pill.
And I was like, you know what? I want to see this. I want the shit to ruin the way I look at movies, because I want to know what the fuck is going on with these movies.
So are you saying that everything's set up that way?
Yeah, it wasn't just movies. He said it. This is the way the movies are set up. But dude, I learned so much from that day about just media in general that he didn't even have to explain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was explaining it in the movie sense, but I apply that, what I learned that day, to basically not everything in life, but just media in general, like the way that.
So the question is, knowing what you know now, how does that affect your creative process? How do you create differently because of that? Are you, do you like on purpose go, okay, I know what I know, so I have to do this? Or do you kind of let it bleed and go, this is what's acceptable, I might throw a little bit of this into it? Or going back to the Andy Warhol thing, do you have like two different sides to where this is going to sell and this is what I want to do?
It makes me free. It makes me design and create freely, knowing that people are going to talk shit no matter what. I can do so I could do something that's going to be the fucking coolest thing that I've ever done. That to me, it's like the best thing. And you still will never know how it's going to be received. You know, people will talk shit or people will love it. It just depends, you know, what is in at the moment or what people are trying to get out of it, you know? And I design no matter how. And then when people fucking start talking about it, or, you know, I question people. I ask people like, oh, you know, you like this? Or, and it's not me like trying to feed my ego. It's just me trying to understand, like, all right, let me see where this person's coming from. Let me see what this guy likes about this or dislikes. And 90% of the time, they're not going to tell me what they dislike, but I will eventually hear it from someone else, you know, or like.
But you're a little different though, in the sense that you actually create stuff for people's businesses. You actually are part of a branding process for. So in that sense, their feedback is kind of important. In that sense.
It's different when I do design for somebody. If I'm designing for somebody, I use every trick that I can in the book. I use color. I use color theory. I use catchy, you know, design. I use whatever is in at the moment. If their business is trying to attract, you know, the rockabilly crowd, then I'm going to use colors and things that are going to attract the rockabilly crowd. And if it's something that, if they're trying to attract more corporate America, then I'm going to design, you know, I'm just going to take some fonts and fucking tweak some shit in Illustrator and give them some funky, just fucking graphics and then send that over to them. I think I'm pretty versatile in that sense, but I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still learning, you know, but I use what I do know in order to like make sure that whoever's, you know, paying me for this is going to be happy. Yeah. Because like I said, no matter what I do, there's still going to be people that talk shit, you know. There's still going to be people that say, "Oh, well, I've seen something like that before." Okay, cool. Whatever. You know, I'm not telling you that I'm going to design some shit that nobody's ever seen. I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to tell you that I'm designing something that's going to work. You want people to come to your business, you want to attract attention, then that's what I'm going to give you. Whether you've seen it before or not, you know, that's not my problem. You know, I'm just going to give you something that is going to work. If you want a sign, it's going to have to be legible. You want people to be able to read it, and it's going to have to be legible. You know?
Is there a formula for that in the design process?
Yeah, like but every formula changes depending on
the time and era, or just people.
Just depending on who I'm designing it for. Yeah, what type of business it is, because I wish I could just
say there's stuff that stands the test of time, like a lot of the stuff from back in the days, a lot of those old buildings with the letters and the signs and all that stuff. That stuff still looks appealing today. You know, that stuff stands the test of time.
Well, what about like?
Yeah, but it attracts a certain crowd.
When you paint,
okay.
When you paint cars,
yeah,
and I assume you've painted a lot of nice old fucking great
buckets. I'm scared.
But in that genre still, when you're like saying you're painting an old Impala,
right?
There's still certain aesthetics that are like standing the test of time. Like, oh, I want my Impala to always look a certain color, maybe original from the factory, or maybe something I saw in a Snoop Dogg video or something like that.
Right.
How does when you paint, like, I mean, not just an Impala, but something like that, are there still like things that have stood this test of time with certain colors, certain aesthetic with paints? Like, I want my car to look like this, or even like I want my car to look like some gangster movie that I saw in last night.
Well, there's and stuff like that. There's always the classics. There's always the solid colors. In the 50s and 60s, they came out with the flake and all the custom stuff. In the 70s, when my dad was painting, they came out with a lot of the candies, the layers, and all that stuff popped up. I brought a couple magazines showing some of my dad's work, but that stuff right there was my dad got tired of losing shows because his 76 Caprice Classic was called I think it was called Brandywine, and it was not winning at all. It wasn't winning any trophies or anything, and he just ended up saying, I need to go extreme, man. And LA was going extreme at the time, so he ended up calling up an LA painter by the name of Bugs Ochoa, and those guys got together, and Bugs came up to San Jose, and they collaborated and came up with Technicolor. And my dad's ride. So that one, he ended up going back to LA, and I got to hear the story at my dad's funeral by someone that threw car shows by the name of 5 Star Production.
Wait, what? Somebody threw car shows?
Yeah, in the 70s at the Santa Clara Fairgrounds.
So there was
she was a well-known producer of car shows. Organizer.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going throw them that she was giving prizes to the people that didn't deserve them.
No, she was. She was.
I threw a boxing match or something.
No, she was kind of an organizer. She was called 5 Star Productions, and her name was Biney, and she was just doing it on her own. And my dad's club, New Style, and Andy Douglas's club back in the days in the 70s, late 70s, would help her do the organizing, the judging, the lay all the cars, park here, all that kind of stuff. So they were the support club, at the time. So she spoke out at his funeral and basically was telling everyone what a great person he was and how she couldn't do any of those shows without him, without the club. So that kind of was a good thing to hear, But as far as the history of the car goes, LA and San Jose, they got together and they made Technicolor. He went back down to LA to a show and he cleaned up that year.
Nice.
Literally cleaned up. He won everything.
And so the best thing about that story is what we were talking about earlier is how many people go out of the way to become better artists. How many people go out and go, I'm not cutting it. I need to learn what I need to learn and I need to get better. Your dad straight up says, dude, what do I need to do to get to the next level?
I need to get this dude from LA up here. Yeah. And we need to collaborate.
And I need to learn and I need to see what's going on. And as soon as he did that,
he won.
He won. Everything that he wanted, dude, boom, 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 boom. And it wasn't that.
He was willing to learn.
Yeah,
see, he learned.
Exactly. He was willing to bring up one of the best guys at the time, and he's still well known to this day, and he's still out there around. And he was open. He said, "Hey, come on up here, man. I want you to come down here or come up to Northern California and do this." And I remember falling asleep in the car while they were working on it because I was with them one night, and and they were still laying patterns down or whatever. They just put me in the back seat. The car and I just fell asleep.
You just fucking give him a taco and a soda and fucking you'll be all right.
I was probably up all night with them guys, man. Those guys are crazy. 70s, late 70s.
That's crazy.
And that's the thing I think that we need to bring forward to in a bunch of, how many, you guys definitely know that there's people out there that just refuse to bring in people to the community because they're like, man, fuck that guy or
oh, hell no. You got to bring that. You got to bring it forward, man. Yeah. If that guy can bring something to the table to make you better, I think you should probably hit him up, especially if he's willing to help. Yeah. Like I said, myself, if anybody needs any kind of help or anything, my arms are wide open because I got 25 years of auto body and paint, and I can make your life a lot easier by if you just listen to me. because I've already been through those bumps and bruises.
And how hard is it for fucking people to listen? I mean, actually,
It's very hard.
So your dad, think about it too, the other way though. Your dad goes, hey man, I need to get this done. Who's the best doing this? Think about if the other guy was an asshole and goes, you know what? Fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate San Jose. Who the fuck's out there?
Yeah,
you know?
fuck that. It's all about LA. You know? Yeah.
And
I think at the time in the 70s, I don't think that was really a big deal in the late 70s. I think it was like 77 around that time. But at that time, those guys, my dad and Andy's Hydraulics, those guys were setting standards already. So they were already well known because Andy had a hopper that went down to LA and just stomped everyone up. They were the ones that were the hopper where it was just sitting on its ass, up in the air, and no one has done that. So NorCal set that up, and he kind of set the standard for that. And a lot of people know that. I know they do, but there's a lot of pride involved in that, and I don't really care about any of that stuff. So. But I just recognize it as, man, that was a beautiful thing that they did.
Yeah, pride is, I have a thing with pride.
Yeah.
I think you should be prideful for certain things, but for other things, like growing, it's like building a team, hey man.
Oh man, growing is good.
Like I may be the best hitter, but I'm not a cleanup guy. I need to fucking bring somebody in here to fucking bring them runs in.
Right.
To help me out. And it's tough. Even in the community, I assume in even in your community, there's a couple of cats out there that are.
You mean like haters?
Well, they don't. Let's just say they don't play well with others, dude.
Well, I think sometimes I feel like I'm that guy. It's not that I don't play well with others, but I've met so many people that just try to take advantage.
Are you just calling them out for their bullshit? Because that's different.
And it's just pushing me to a level where like I want them to prove themselves before they can come and not like hang out with me, but I'm like I don't want to teach you anything if you're just gonna take that and run and never give me any credit or never or even try to come like use it against me in the future.
Fair. That's fair.
And it's just happened so many times in my scene. That I went from teaching everybody and not caring to like now it's like, wait, how do I know you? Why are you all of a sudden so interested in what I'm doing?
Like, where'd you come from?
Yeah, where'd you come from? And it sucks. I hate being like that because I could be turning down somebody that's
could help you in the long run, or could help you in the long run.
Not even just help me, but that could be something. Like I could have probably influenced that person to becoming something great, but it's just so many people have messed that up for me to where like I look at everybody like oh you're trying to take from me now like, and it sucks. I want to not be like that, but it's just happened so many times. And
yeah, but you're not a community college, bro. You
exactly
you were.
That's one way to look at it.
You're established. You have your thing going on, and if somebody wants to learn, they gotta come at you being serious.
So you gotta stand the floor, or paint the fence.
Paint the fence,
Daniel's son. So you're not gonna fucking go in there and just I'm gonna do this and that, man. You can't just go in there and paint cars, dude. You gotta fucking prep and sand first, dude.
Yeah, see,
and this many times,
And I look at it like this. Like I'll ask people, like I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, you should teach me, how to do this or whatever,
Should.
Yeah. And then I ask them like, well, how long have you been doing art? How long have you been doing lettering? Or how long have you been doing, anything that I could teach you with? How long have you been doing that for? And my biggest pet peeve, I guess, is when they tell me like, oh no, like I just suck at even drawing a stick figure. Like, I've never really drawn. Like, it's like, oh, you've never even tried, and now you're coming up to me like, now all of a sudden you want to try. Like, it makes me believe that they see something. Like, just because I'm doing it for a living and I can live off of it doesn't mean that it's that you're gonna be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been painting for 25 years. Going on 25 years. that person's not going to know that. You know, there's a lot of people right now coming into like my scene, and I call it my scene because it's just the scene that I'm in. It's everybody's scene that's in it, you know, but there's new people coming in thinking like, oh man, there's people making money off of this and living off of it. Seems pretty easy. I could do it. And then they'll come in and then just try to like contact like the best people they could contact, and then just kind of try to mooch off of them as much as they could, you know, drain their connections, like try to find out where are they getting their stuff from? Who do they know? Who do I need to know that they know, you know? And it's just, it's like really, it's getting old. Like, you know, at first I was letting it happen. And then now it's like, oh man, there's too many people doing that, you know? They just don't want to work. And that's their excuse too. It's like, I just don't feel like I'm cut out for like regular corporate work. Like, yeah, but what are you doing like to change that? You know, like I've been working my whole life to not be in the corporate world. I've only been on my own for a little over 5 years, you know, and even right now I'm still doing like side work that I don't want to do. You know, it's not as easy as MySpace made it look, or like, you know, Instagram makes it look, or Facebook, you know, just because I don't, you know, and I try to make it a thing, and I post when I'm going through rough times. I post about it. And I get, you know, and I get shit talked to about it because I do that. But I, you know, honestly, it's like I use it as a way to vent. And if people, you know, don't understand that just because I've been doing this, you know, on my own and for a living doesn't mean that I'm doing good. You know, like I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm paying my bills, and like, yes, I'm in a place where I, like 10 years ago, I would have never even imagined I would be. But there's still hard times. I'm still not where I want to be, you know, and I feel like maybe it'll be like that for a long time, and I'm hoping not. You know, I'm hoping it's not going to be like that. But I know that I'm in a place where a lot of people wish they could be, because that was me, you know, 5-10 years ago. I was that kid like, damn, I would look up to like my boy Lalo, and I'm like, man, how is he like living off of this? Like, I know he's really good and everything, but what do I got to do to be like that, you know? And I was already painting murals already. But I just wasn't charging right, and I wasn't meeting the right people. I was doing illegal shit, so I didn't want to meet the right people. You know, it's like, so all of that held me back. And then, and I feel like I put in work to get to where I'm at, you know, and people see that, like Lalo sees that. And like people that I was looking up to back then look at me now and they're like, you know, you deserve what you got, you know, you deserve more. Like, you've worked for this, you know. And then I look at this kid that just came up to me and they're like, I've never painted a day in my life, but I'm hoping to like throw my own shows and like, you know, be a badass artist by next year. You think you could help me with that? Like, that's not going to happen. You know, maybe, who knows, you know, if you meet the right people, but I can't help you with that. It didn't take me a year. I don't know how to tell you that in a year you're going to be a badass, you know, like, it's crazy, man. It's, and that's why I'm like a little bit, like, I feel like a little, like, I had one guy tell me just recently, like, you don't think you're being, what did he call it? You don't think that's like just like a big ego or whatever? And honestly, I responded back like, you got to have a little bit of ego, or else you're just going to get stepped on. You're just going to get stomped on and walked over, you know?
That's fair.
And that's in everything, I guess.
I mean, the bigger ego is fucking somebody coming up to you, not knowing a goddamn thing, and telling you, you should teach me this because I can draw a stick figure. Yeah. And no, and as funny as that is, that shit happens with, what do they call them? Like, they want to call themselves like organizers or art directors or whatever. They'll come up to me, or like people that they feel like they can benefit off of. And even though they have no following, they've never really done what they're about to try to do with you. They're like, well, I can make you more money. Oh, I can do this. I can manage what you're doing. I can, you know, whatever you're doing right now, just tell me who your connections are, and I'll make sure that they pay you more, you know. And I've had that shit happen. I just recently shut down a guy that was like, that supposedly like was gonna fucking make me more money and like do all this stuff. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? Take a shot. You know, here you go. This is what I'm doing. This is who you got to contact. And he literally went, contacted that person, started doing music festivals, and he's like doing all his own thing and slowly pushed me out. So just recently I was like, look, I see what you're doing. You know, I want no part of it anymore. And, and I walked away from that. And
I just wasn't making the money that he promised that I would be making. And I was making more before he got involved. So it's like, how are you even helping me? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not healthy for me right now. Like,
I'm glad you called him out. There's only been one guy in my whole, I had that guy too. And there's only been one guy who I ever called this shit out. I'm like, all right, you want to make this happen? I want a show on Friday and 3 Fridays from now. And everything you just said, I want to happen. And no, I'm not giving you any money. He's all right. And he fucking did it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he fucking did. He's all, dude. So he's like, I bring people together. This is what I promised. I'm going to bring it. And he had promised something like, the first show, he had promised something like, I'm going to bring 75 people to this show and this, that, and the other. He only brought 50, which was like, all right, well, he's all, dude, that was my bad because we were short notice. Because, yeah, I gave him something like 5 days to get it done.
Yeah.
And then he's all, I'm like, well, okay. But,
yeah, that's pretty tough.
But next Friday, or the Friday, we're going to do an art show. He fucking called up. I had 200 people at the show.
Nice.
He brought in some sort of TV crew, local TV crew from San Diego. And he actually brought in all the models. And I'm like, wow. He's all, dude, I told you. And I love that guy because, you know, you come up with so many people. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, you think you can give me that for one price? I want 2 of them by next week.
Yeah.
And there's like, no, well, I don't know. If you would have called me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But this guy was the only guy that ever followed through. And unfortunately, you know, life happens and you fucking lose in contact with people. But he was a good guy. I love that guy. And we had a nice little 6 months where I was doing art shows and live photo shoots in San Diego at some weird places where like, and he brought people in. And it was like, wow, man, that's fucking amazing.
You got any video on that?
No, this was MySpace days, I call it.
Gotcha.
Where
I remember those days.
There is video, but I have no idea who has it. There's it was a local channel in San Diego that was like on the cusp of doing the YouTube stuff. I have no idea who there, but there's video of it somewhere.
Yeah,
but it was really cool. The guy was one of the only guy that ever followed through with.
That's badass.
Really cool.
No, that's badass. Nobody's really ever followed through the way they say
There's
they're going to follow.
There's a lot of tacos, man, and it was fucking talkers, not tacos.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, there was a lot of tacos.
We had a lot of tacos tonight.
And and it was just a few guys, and I'll tell you guys off the air of what we were talking about earlier about certain people pushing you forward and certain people not pushing you forward.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy was one of those guys. But Dave, you just told a man to fuck off not too long ago. You're
hey, I'm right here, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Are you talking about like work or something?
Yeah, like you are right now. Let's just say you're freelancing. Right?
Yeah, I'm freelancing right now. It's not as easy as I've been down this road before, so it's not a surprise to me. So, and coming from Northern California, there's a lot of ups and downs, just like anywhere else, any other big city. But my dad actually taught me freelancing because he lost his job, worked out of the garage, and this man was painting cars like left and right, man. I'd go in there and help him. I worked for the city of San Jose for 7 years, from 15 and a half till I was 21. But between that time, I was sanding cars, prepping cars for extra cash. So I help him out, mask cars up, and buff them out and do whatever I had to do to make extra cash. And he showed me that, hey man, we can pay the bills on our own. We don't have to be at a shop. And he literally was painting cars in the garage for years. I'm saying maybe 2 years in a row.
Okay.
That's a long time, dude, to be on your own.
Between jobs?
Between jobs.
The W-2?
Between the W-2s, man. And then that being said, he had a doctor that restored cars. I can't remember his name, but this doctor had so many freaking cars that he kept my dad busy.
Wow.
I mean, he just met this guy, Dr. Sullivan.
That's where like
Dr.
networking
Sullivan
helps, man.
And networking happened. Dr. Sullivan would bring another classic car, and next you know, my dad's like working on another cool car in the garage, and I'm like, whose car is this? He's like, oh yeah, Dr. Sullivan brought another car. He goes, like, didn't you just finish the other one? Yeah, he brought another one. He bought another one. I mean, this guy's got money. So when you meet people at that level, you can probably stay busy your whole life as long as they're still doing that, you know. Or they have other buddies that do the same thing, you know. So one doctor knows 5 other doctors, and
hey, how much of we were just talking about the difference between karma and finances, and how I mean, big ups to not being an asshole, you know. If you just are a decent, cool person, I mean, Dr. Sullivan isn't going to come back to your dad over and over if your dad's an asshole.
No, my dad took care of him, and it was kind of odd too, because he actually put on some overalls, and he said, Manny, put me to work. I want to do this. So my dad told him, here, start standing here. And this guy was like a gynecologist or something like that, dude. I don't know what he was, dude.
Wow.
This guy was somebody like practice, you know, whatever. But he was a female doctor. But he came in, put overalls on, dude. And my dad fixed a Porsche for him, a T-Bird, just so many cool British cars too. The guy was into British cars.
Oh, wow.
Brought a British motorcycle with a sidecar. We were messing around in the neighborhood in it. He's like, hey, hop in the sidecar. So we'd hop in the sidecar, and my dad's bolting around the neighborhood, or just cruise. Like,
those are also perks that you only get when you work for yourself, when you do your own thing, you know?
Stuff like that.
Imagine if you work for a corporation and you jump in a fucking sidecar of like one of the clients, like,
no, dude, that liability. You're a liability. Exactly. You can't do that. The insurance doesn't cover that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I was pretty young at the time. I was still in my 19s and 20s, you know, and this is before I met my wife and all that.
Like in the 1930s.
So I was 20, 21, but for the most part, I was still helping them in the garage.
You're not that much older than me, are you?
I'm 47.
Nah, I'm 40. What
10?
year?
4010.
I'll be 44.
Oh yeah.
In July.
Okay.
Yeah. July
what?
27.
Dude, you're Leo.
Yeah.
So am I.
Oh yeah?
Hell yeah. That explains a lot.
I'm trying to learn astrology myself. I know my moon's in Pisces, bro. I know whatever that means.
Pisces women, they're crazy. Stay away from Pisces. I married one.
Man, no,
I'm a June
guy. June bug. I
Gemini.
Oh, okay. No, sorry, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, me neither. I'm a Gemini, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you should know. You should know. It means something.
I believe in.
I know. It sucks for like having a relationship.
I mean, that's what they say, though. But you can defeat all odds when it comes to.
Yeah, I've had a couple
signs. Yeah.
Oh, I believe in cycles. I do. I don't like. There's a lot of weight into like, oh, I'm this, so I do this. I'm that, so I do that. I do believe though that you get into cycles to where like, you keep repeating yourself, because I'd like to believe in astrology as a tool to like, all right, so like my moon is in a retrograde or blah 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 blah, and instead of using it as an excuse, go like, okay, so if my moon is in blah 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 in the 6th house, I should not do this today and not be a complete asshole.
You're saying it's
things
dictating what you do from your day to day.
Right. I don't think it should be used as like an excuse. Well, I was a fucking cunt today because my fucking house was in the thing, as opposed to like, well, I prevented from being a fucking cunt today because I knew my chart. And
so I just went to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. One of those. So I just drank myself to sleep. That was cool, in that aspect. So,
yeah, I've never taken it that far.
Yeah, it's.
I know people do though. Probably.
I have a friend, and she's really into it, and we're having these deep conversations about it to where like it's not a thing that I've ever talked about before. But now I'm trying to now I'm curious. Now I'm like, okay, all right. Well, if it's a thing, let's just make it a whole thing and not just half bake it.
Oh, I think it is.
You know?
I think it is because all the women in my life were Pisces. My oldest daughter's mom was Pisces, and then my mother-in-law's Pisces, and
goldfish.
My mom is a Pisces.
And then my shark is a Pisces.
My wife is a Pisces. So I'm surrounded by Pisces women.
All I know from hanging out with this guy is that I hope I never meet a Pisces.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. I mean, dude,
because they're gonna want to take my money and beat me up.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, but you know, like I said, I've been surrounded by that type of women for some reason. I believe that there's like a magnet. Here's the weird thing: my mother-in-law is Pisces, right? So my father-in-law. Guess when his birthday is? The same freaking day as mine.
Exact day?
July 31st, dude.
Holy shit.
My father-in-law.
Wow.
His birthday is the same day as mine. And then my mother-in-law's Pisces and my wife's Pisces.
You were destined.
Dude, this is so freaking weird. Do I believe in that? I don't know. Was it coincidence?
You were destined to go fishing, dude. That's what it sounds like to me. You're a fisherman.
It could be coincidence, but about that subject, you know, astrology is basically everything's in 12s, right? So it's 12. So you got 12 months.
Uh-huh.
You got 12 grades.
Look.
11?
No.
11 popped up?
No, festivals of the 12 months.
There you go. Festivals of the 12 months. So, boom, there you go. And then 11 popped up again.
11.
Remember we kept talking about 11? The ones? We've been seeing nothing but 11s, ones, and I've been seeing nothing but 6s. 666 or 66. That's been coming up for me a lot. All the time. So, these numbers are telling you something. I don't know what they're trying to tell me.
I'm used to 666.
But they're always telling me something. So
I have it tattooed on my butt.
I wanted to ask you though, as far as, because you've essentially continued on the artwork that it seems like your dad established, how much of your dad's artistic sensibilities or even just overall aesthetics, how has that affected your work as you move forward? Because I don't get to speak to too many generational artists, and in this case, it seems like
I would say, as far as what he was doing and what I'm doing now, I'm doing collision stuff. I haven't really done a whole lot of custom, but I'm kind of dabbling in it now. And it's kind of interesting because you never know what you're going to get, if that person's going to like it or not. Because in collision work, you just paint it the same color it was before the accident. Custom work is you're putting your heart in it and your style. And when they tell you, I want it something like this, but they don't even know what they want.
But your custom work isn't just cars, though. You do a lot of. I mean, you were just talking about how you were working with the tattoo artists.
I mean, when you talk about like refinish work, I mean, you can pretty much put your art on anything, just like this guy. You can put artwork on any canvas. Anything could be a canvas. It could be a piece of furniture, titties, it could be anything. Piece of metal, piece of plastic. There's cars. There's a lot of things you can do with that, especially furniture. A lot of people like custom furniture and stuff like that. But I'm just doing a bunch of desks for No Regrets Tattoo Parlor out in Arcadia, and that guy's shop is phenomenal. I mean, the artwork he's got hung up all over that place. He's been doing it a long time, and I just wanted to be part of it. It's just more of an honor to be part of it, because I know he's going to probably set some standards in that area. Trust me, he's going to be well known, dude, again, because he was in Tempe for a long time. But being in that Arcadia area, I think he's going to open another avenue. I really, really believe that he's going to be beyond what he thinks he's going to I just see it. I already see it.
Nice.
I see it. He's in a location where he's not in that college town anymore. He's in an area where there's money. Where these people are going to value him a little bit more, and especially having the history. So I think he knows where he's at, and I can see it. I already see it.
Nice. So. Did any of your family members, did they do artwork or anything before you? Did you draw your inspiration from them at all?
I actually started because of one of my uncles. So my uncle was in prison when I was a little boy, and he would write like letters to my mom and my dad and stuff. And my mom would always save the envelopes because he would draw stuff on there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always, black and gray pen artwork, like Cholo stuff or whatever. But it was a lot of lettering, a lot of Old English, a lot of scripts, a lot of Virgin Marys, a lot of like cholas and cars and stuff. So my mom would just save that stuff, and she knew, like my parents, I don't know if they really cared for that as much, but my mom knew I loved it. I would always look forward to those letters coming in. And I never read them, I never read the letters. My mom would take the letters, and then, it was, letters to the family, but she would give me the envelopes, and I'd just like trace them and redraw them and like try to learn how to draw and stuff. And I think that's where I started, is just because of those. And I think I was like 8 years old around the time when I was looking at them and trying to draw them. But he would draw like girls with their titties out and shit too. So it's like, my parents really never were that, like, I was never restricted. So yeah, I was drawing like naked chicks and like gangster lettering and like lowriders and stuff. And then I would take them to school, and I would show them off at school and get in trouble and shit, of course. But I think that's where it all started. And then I remember in 4th grade, we moved here to Arizona. I started here in 4th grade. They took us to the library, and I found this book. I didn't even know you could buy books that had Old English. It was like that was the coolest thing I had ever seen, dude. So they send us into the library. They're like, pick a book. I was like, all right, cool. I've somehow I stumbled across this. It was a blue book. I think it was a speedball book, but I know it was a blue book with a white stripe down the middle, and it said calligraphy or it said Old English. One of those two things. I don't remember exactly what it said, but I opened it, and it was nothing but like different styles of Old English. And I was like, dude, this is what I want this. I want to learn all these letters, right? So I took it. That was the book that I picked out. I think they were trying to get us to pick out a book to read, but they didn't really pay attention to what I had. So I got the book, ended up keeping it. I stole it, and I never gave it back. But I would copy all the Old English, and I would copy all the letters. And I became that kid that everybody was like, draw my name, draw my name. And I would draw their name in Old English and stuff. But that's where it all started. It was one of my uncles really, I think that he was sending those letters home. So I think that's where I drew my inspiration from the beginning. But nah, man, as far as I remember, my dad was really creative when it came to like his work. So he was like a welder, and he did construction and stuff like that. And he always got really creative with what he did. Like he ended up, before he passed away, he was doing wrought iron gates. So he was welding wrought iron gates. But, his wrought iron gates, I could tell they were like, pretty creative. Like he would take like the metal, and then he'd like get the twisted metal. And like sometimes he'd put like designs, like shapes inside of the metal. He'd put like slats of wood inside of them. And he was making really cool gates for people, And, that's the extent of like his creativity. Like that was his realm of creative, where he was being creative. But I do remember one instance before I even got into like hand lettering and like sign painting and stuff. I remember my dad used to have these tow trucks. He bought tow trucks to like make side money. And I remember coming out one day, and I was, bored, and I'm playing in the front yard, and my dad had a can of Rust-Oleum and a cheap ass brush, and he was writing like Cordova on the side of the doors and then the phone number and all that. And like now, like, a couple years ago, I realized, like, I saw pictures of it, and I was like, I remember sitting right there watching him do this, and I never even
was
thought.
It kind of like a dream?
Yeah.
It almost seemed like a dream or something.
Exactly. But I remembered it like clear as day. I remember because he was having trouble because it was now that I know about the paint, like it was Rust-Oleum, like that shit drips like a motherfucker. Like it's old, it doesn't dry that fast, so he was having trouble with it. But I mean, he did all his hand lettering on his trucks. And now that I like look back at it, I'm like, man, my dad was like doing some sign painter shit back then, and like that's what I do now, So it was kind of cool just to be able to remember that. And I have the photos of the tow trucks, with all the lettering on them, And it was just straight up like he just wrote it like how he writes on paper, it just Cordova and then like a phone number, like. But it was a trip, man. It's just
What happened to the uncle in jail?
He's in Mexico. He got deported.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, he came out of jail. He was out here, but he was. I love him. That's my uncle. But he's always been into like some crazy like mafia stuff. Like
he's
transporting guns and crazy shit like that. So
don't need. Well, we'll bleep that out.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't want your uncle coming back at me.
No, he's in Mexico now. He hasn't came back over here in a few years now, but yeah, he's out there now.
Was your dad the only person that you grabbed inspiration from artistically?
I would say yes. Probably about 80-90%. My grandmother.
Wait. What kind of music did your dad listen to?
They were into like Earth, Wind and Fire. What was that other band from Oakland? They were into the 70s stuff, man.
Rock.
Not really so much the
Too short.
Yeah, too short.
Not so much the Cholo stuff. They were into the Santana and that kind of stuff back then. So, and then disco showed up.
I don't think the Cholo stuff was really around back then.
Not really.
I mean,
the disco stuff was popular back then because they were all doing their thing back then. Disco dancing and lots of cocaine.
Yeah, that's about right.
Hookers and blow.
There was a lot of blow going on back then.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much. I mean, I grew up around that. So, we're talking 30, 40 car club members at the house.
Oh, wow.
At times. Yeah. So, yeah, there was a car club. They would do meetings at my house growing up. So, I would get all the beers for all the guys. Hey, because my middle name's Art, so I went by Art. Hey, Art, go get me another beer. Go grab a beer, and I opened it for him, and all the foam was mine, pretty much. So when they got it, there was no foam. Okay. So after 20 beers later, all that foam, boy, when you're 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, that foam takes a toll.
Hit you.
It hit me quick because I'm moving quick, getting everyone beers, But yeah, funny. They had all the car club meetings at our house in the beginning, and I think probably what happened was my mom said, "You guys got to take that shit somewhere else." So, you know what I mean? Because there's just you're talking about 30 guys, 30, 40 guys, club members,
drinking till the sun comes up.
Rolling up. No one wants to go home. And back then, those guys can drink all day because they're, you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't know because I'd get up in the morning and watch my cartoons and
they're still there.
There'd be one or two of them sitting on the couch drinking beer still. And I'm like, oh shit, what's up? And they're like, oh, nothing, still drinking beer. They're hanging out on the couch. It's like, I'm watching my cartoons. I grab my bowl of cereal and I sit down right in front of the TV and I eat my bowl of cereal and they're still drinking.
Those were the days.
God,
that was back then. Yeah. So yeah. I grew up in that atmosphere too. It was interesting. It wasn't a very, we weren't like a church going family or anything.
Yeah, no,
so it was a lot of partying.
Are you from San Diego?
70 style.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love San Diego, man. I'm there all the time.
It's cool. It's
I don't know if I'd live there, but I do love visiting for sure.
You got to pick your spots in San Diego where if you're an artist, you can't live anywhere in San Diego. And I don't want to sound like a dick, but I have lived in various parts of San Diego, and I keep coming back to areas that are South Park, downtown area, even though downtown is kind of fucking ridiculous, but
yeah, now it is.
Even North Park is okay to live in, and Normal Heights and things like that, but
I just took him to North Park
nice
3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's still where it's still cool to be there, man. But
I mean, I liked it. It was nice. I mean, being born and raised in Northern California and leaving in 2005, I'm just kind of over California. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel, because
I have a buddy that feels the same way.
I love California, but California doesn't love me, is how I feel. Like I wanted to be there, raise my family and do all those things, but when you're looking at $580,000 for a 1,100 square foot house in Sunnyvale or Mountain View or San Jose or Santa Clara, you're looking at $600,000 house for 1,100 square feet with one bathroom.
Yeah, it's tough.
One bathroom, dude. Two bedrooms, one bathroom. I'm like, this is not for me.
If I go back to California and live, I think the only real place I would want to live is in Long Beach.
Okay.
I think that's more in my vibe. I think even San Pedro is a tough call because it's like ghetto. But I would still fucking rock San Pedro. Okay. If I had to go back to California, it would be Long Beach area in there. And it's just, as much as I love San Diego, those places I mentioned, that makes those prices you just mentioned ridiculous.
Just are way up there, huh?
People are paying $3,000 to $4,000 a month to live in those neighborhoods. And
You're talking about rent or for mortgage?
No, rent, man, rent.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's ridiculous. Yeah.
He bought the house next door to his, and he's renting that out for a fucking gazillion dollars a month. I'm like, people, and y'all, dude, he's got a waiting list
for that house.
He can't. Wow. You can't charge enough for it. It's like people are like and it's something like $3,500 a month. Man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And to be honest, it's not like these places are like La Jolla or Del Mar or anything like that. Which is, if you want to live by the beach, it's cool. Like this is, and don't get me wrong, South Park is cool. It's legit. It's a really good neighborhood. But it's just, a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Well, it's all your time and energy that you have to put in just to live there. So it's what's valuable to you, I believe, is more important. And I made a choice.
Yeah.
I made a choice. I said, this is not important to me, 4 walls and a roof. That's all it is. It's 4 walls and a roof. Do you want to pay $4,800 a month for a mortgage, or do you want to pay $1,700 a month for a mortgage? It's up to you.
For the same size house.
I bought a bigger house here. So I have something that I love is a lot of people don't see it here because they like in California, like, why are you still there? It's freaking hot and this and that. I said, look, trust me. There's California. The only cities that are really beautiful are the ones along the coast. If you go further in California, it all looks like Arizona. People don't understand that. When you go further into Fresno, to Merced, to Modesto, to all these other cities that everybody fled the Bay Area from, it's the same shit.
Nobody's in line to fucking go live in Victorville.
That's what I'm trying to say is that
Barstow.
And it's 110 degrees out there.
It is.
And it's California. It's not even Phoenix.
Forget about nobody's in line to go live in San Bernardino.
So you go out there and check it out. I've checked out Fresno. I've checked out Madera, Modesto, Ceres, all those towns. Sacramento, I tried looking for a job out there. It didn't work out. I tried everything, man. I almost gave up, man.
Yeah.
And then Phoenix popped up and my parents moved out. My brother moved out here. Then my family moved out here. And then I'm like, we're out.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Where, now that you're in Phoenix and now that you're more or less established and you got a little community building out.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do.
And where do you want this community to go artistically, and even, let's just say, not just artistically, but more of a personal, communal way of going? Where do you want this thing to go forward?
Well, I just heard something recently. There's a video of why not to move here to Arizona. And this guy was pretty informative. He was pretty right on the spot with it. And everything's spread out. Everything's too far. Nobody wants to hang out because someone might live across town. And to get to the shopping center or an area, you got to get in the freaking car and drive across town to get there. And that's the only problem. And that's all true and all that. But he also mentioned about culture, like there's a lack of culture. And I believe that there would be more if we were more tight-knit. But if we were tight-knit, I think it would be more like LA, San Francisco, like the Mission District, all that stuff. And everyone's on top of each other. I moved away from that for a reason. And there's a reason why I moved away from that. It's because everyone's on top of each other. It's congested. You want a little breathing room. I think Arizona, it's everything spread out. So if your family lives across town, you know, it's okay that they do, because when you guys do come together, it means more. You know what I mean?
And I never bought into the spread out, because I also want to start a community like music, like these bands. I never, in LA, it's as spread out as it is here. It is crazy. And I never bought into the whole, okay, let's be spread out, or the excuse that, you know, it's too spread out. And yeah, I mean, it's a fucking pain in the ass to go to Mesa to go see a fucking show or anything. I mean, I am the first to fucking bitch and moan about that. I'm not going to go out to fucking Levine or, you know, fucking out there to try to catch a show unless it's really, you know, kind of worth it. But at the same time, I kept thinking back to the days in LA where, dude, I would drive a half hour to go to Silver Lake to fucking catch a rock show. And I'm like, the only reason I don't know why all of a sudden I came an excuse in Phoenix area, like to the point where it's true. Like, you know, I don't want to go to Chandler to do shit. Well, and it ended up kind of being weird to me, and I'm like, okay, I did make that excuse, but it was like I wasn't the only one making that excuse.
So you've heard that too, right?
Yeah, and then there's the little music community that there's bands that are in Mesa that come out here and play a lot, but and then there's not so many bands here that would go out to Mesa and see them play at their show, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of sucks, you know, because it's like you're trying to build a musical community. And when I was in San Diego during the earlier days, it was the music community there between 2005 and 2010 when I was still there. Dude, we were tight knit. Everyone went to each other's shows. Everyone was supportive of each other, and it didn't matter what kind of, you know, one could be a hip hop group and go see a rock and roll group, and everybody still went to each other's shows. And out here, I noticed that it's a fucking chore.
Yeah, it is a chore.
It's like, dude, fuck, I don't want to go. I mean, it's like I don't even want to go take the 101 over to Northern Phoenix to go catch a show, because all of a sudden, like Joel's Grotto has got a decent. Phoenix has actually got a decent heavy metal scene. I mean, it's like I'm not into heavy metal, but there's some great musicians, and that's one of the things that I realized early on. Okay. The problem is I got to go up and go see him, and I'm like, fuck.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about that effort, because like you said, I remember going from San Jose to Frisco because there was a ska band playing in like the Warfield, or something like that, you know. And I'd go to the Warfield and watch a bunch of ska bands play, or punk bands, or whatever the case may be. But we made that effort, and that's 50 minutes. So that would be just like, that's an hour, you know.
Yeah. And
So we used to do it.
Yeah. And now what are we doing now? Now it's like, and I hate to be like, oh, I'm an old man, I'm doing fucking blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And it's just like, you know what?
I think it's the grind.
I'm still, yeah. I
think it's the grind, dude.
And
people are tired when they get home. And it's because we're working more. And I think traffic plays into it. You know, we're stuck. We're sitting in the car. We're sitting in the car.
This is Phoenix. Is not LA. It's the other funny thing too. It's like traffic. Why are we complaining about traffic when it's? I don't know. One of the reasons you get out of the big one is.
I used to commute from South San Jose to Mountain View, which is halfway to Frisco, and it used to. I was kind of worked near the Shoreline. The Shoreline was a big music venue back then.
I've been there.
Over there. Yeah, it's a badass venue. Yeah, so I've been to a lot of concerts there at the Shoreline. And one of the biggest events, hey, cheers, guys. Cheers. One of the biggest events I would say that was badass was Lollapalooza. And I went to the first one.
Oh, really?
The Lollapalooza.
Oh, he's a hipster now.
Shit.
I did it before it was popular.
Yeah, Susie and the Banshees, Depeche. I don't know if Depeche Mode was there. Jane's Addiction was there.
Yeah.
There was a couple of rap bands there too. I don't know if it was Cypress Hill. I think that was the second one. But there was a lot of really cool stuff going on at that time in the 90s, man. It was badass.
How did that overall shape your artistic? Because you're being from Northern California.
Yeah.
That I would assume shapes your artistic vision a shitload than, like, let's just say if you were raised in Phoenix. Not to talk shit about Phoenix, but we didn't have the first Lollapalooza in Phoenix.
Right. Okay, so I would say coming from that area, and then actually I brought some magazines too. A lot of people don't know that Lowrider magazine started in San Jose.
I did not know
and
that.
A lot of people get their heart broken when I tell them that. And I think
it's LA or something?
Yeah. And it did. LA made it big, dude. I mean, they made it huge. But Sonny Madrid, that's why I want my uncle here.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle actually played with Rudy Madrid, which is the brother of Sonny Madrid, who started Lowrider magazine.
Okay.
And that's why I wanted my uncle to come and hang out and talk. But, you know, I understand what happened. But
he's gone.
For the most part, Sonny was the one with the camera walking around from quinceañeras and car shows and get-togethers at the park. And he would just walk around taking pictures of cars. And
that's what became
Lowrider magazine.
Lowrider magazine?
Yeah. So I brought some magazines here. Some early stuff right here. And here's one with my dad's car on the cover.
All right. That was the end of part 1. Again, part 2 is available for download at thecommonrule.com. Thank you again for listening and have a great day.